Okay, so yesterday we did 2-digit by 1-digit. Today we're going to step it up a notch and we're going to do 3-digit by 1-digit. So I want you to have something to write with, either a whiteboard and dry erase marker if you have one of those at home, or pencil and paper. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put a problem up, and then I'm going to want you to pause the video and you try and solve it. And then when you have it solved, press play on the video and watch me work it out and see if you either got the answer correct or if you got it incorrect, if you can try and figure out where you went wrong. So the first problem we're going to do is 947 divided by 8. So when you do 3-digit by 2-digit, it's just the same. It's just adding your divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. You're just going to have to do that for another round. So it's not any harder. It's just going to take a little bit longer. So 947 divided by 8. This first one we'll do all together, so you can see a 3-digit by 1-digit. Then you can start for the last 3. You can start pausing and doing them on your own and seeing if you get the answer. So we know our first step, this doesn't change. We're going to list our multiples to 9. So my multiples of 8, I have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72. So remember, like we talked about the first time, you can only go 1 digit at a time. So right now, how many times can 8 go into 9? I'm going to come over to my multiples and see if the closest I can get to 9 without going over. 8, 16. That's too much. I need to go back. So 8 times 1 gives me 8. I've divided. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract 9 minus 8 is 1. Here is where it's super important, only doing 1 digit at a time. You can only bring down one number. So I've still got a 4 and a 7, but I can only bring down one at a time. So now I've got 14. I've got my check marks all the way across. I'm ready to start over. How many times can 8 go into 14 without going over? How close can I get to 14? 8, 16, that's too much. So once again, I can only go in 1 time. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract 14 minus 8, I know is 6. Bring down. Now I can bring my 7 down. So I've brought down. Now, we haven't done this before because we've only done 2-digit. Now I'm ready to start back with my divide. How many times can 8 go into 67? I'm going to come over and see how close I can get to 67 without going over. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64. That's getting close. 72. That's too much. So 64 is 8 times 8. That means 8 can go into 67. 8 times 8 is 64. When I subtract those, 7 minus 4 is 3. 6 minus 6 is 0, so I don't need to put that. Now, do I have anything left to bring down? I don't. So where I put my X tells me to look for my remainder. I only have 3, so I can't make another whole group of 8. Bring it up. Remainder 3. So for 947 divided by 8, I got 118 remainder 3. Remember, we have to check our answer by multiplying. So when I do that, when we have remainders, remember you do the whole number part of the quotient times the divisor. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 6 is 14. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 944, plus remember I have my remainder of 3, gives me 947, and that's my original dividend. Now we're going to do it box method. So I'm going to set it up. We're dividing by 8. Remember, you break your dividend up and you write it small in the top of the boxes. I'm going to list my multiples. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72. Same thing, I've got my divide, multiply, subtract, and bring over up top. So, how close can I get? 8, how many times can 8 go into 9 without going over? How close can I get? 8, 16. 16 is too much, so I have to go back. It can go in one time. There's my divide. 1 times 8 is 8. There's my multiply. Subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. Now I'm going to circle it, draw my arrow, and bring it over. Now I've got 14. I'm ready to start again. How many times can 8 go into 14? 8, 16, that's too much, so we've got to go back. 8 can go into 14 one time. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 8 is 8. When I subtract, I get 6. 14 minus 8 is 6. Now I'm ready to circle this 6 and bring it over. I've got check marks all the way across, so I'm ready to start the process again. I've got 67. How close can I get to 67 without going over? Let's see. Well, I'm getting close. 64 is really close. 72 is too much, so I need to go back. 64 is 8 times 8. That means 8 can go into 67 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. Now when I subtract, 7 minus 4 is 3. 6 minus 6 is 0, so 67 minus 64 is 3. I can't bring it over, so that means I need to bring it up and make it my remainder. 118, remainder 3. For the next one, I'm getting ready to write it down. For the next one, I want you to pause the video once you see the problem, try and work it out, and then press play, come back, and see, did you get it correct or where was your mistake at? You can choose to either do standard algorithm or box, whatever you would like. 231 divided by 9. Watch out for your first digit on this one. It's going to try and trick you. Go ahead and draw my box. $231 divided by 9. Don't forget to list your multiples. Okay. So pause it. Come back when you're finished. Okay. So when I do 231 divided by 9, I'm going to list my multiples. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81. So I want to know how many times can 9 go into 2. So I'm going to check. Well, 9's already too much. So that means 9 can go into 2 0 times. 0 times 9 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Now I'm going to bring down my 3 because remember I can only bring one at a time. So now I've got 23, ready to start all over. How close can I get to 23 without going over? 9, 18, 27, that's too much. So I can do 1, 2 times. That's my divide. Now I multiply. 2 times 9 is 18. When I subtract, I can't do 3 minus 8, so I'm going to borrow. 13 minus 8 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. So 23 minus 18 is 5. Now I'm going to bring my 1 down, and I'm ready to start again. 9 can go into 51. How close can we get without going over? 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54. That's too much. Jump 1 back. And that is my 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 multiples. So 9 can go into 51. 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45. There's my divide. I went ahead and divided and multiplied. Now when I subtract, I'm going to have to borrow. 11 minus 5 is 6. 4 minus 4 is 0. So I've subtracted. I have nothing left to bring down. which means when I put my X, it tells me to look for a remainder. My remainder is 6. My remainder is 6. So now I got to check with multiplication. So I multiply the whole number of my quotient times my divisor. 5 times 9 is 45. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. Plus my 6, my remainder. I get 231, which is what my original dividend was. We're going to try it box method. List your multiples. Okay. How many times can 9 go into 2? 0 times, because 9 is too much. So I've already divided. When I multiply 0 times 9, I get 0. 2 minus 0 gives me 2. Now I'm going to circle that 2 and bring it over. So now I have 23. I've got a row of check marks, so I know I'm ready to start the process all over again. How close can I get to 23 without going over? 9, 18, 27. That's too much. I've got to jump back to 18, and that is 2 times. 2 times 9 is 18. When I subtract 23 minus 18, I get 5. Now I'm ready to circle and bring it over. Now I'm dealing with 51. I want to see how close I can get to 51 without going over. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54. That's too much. I've got to go back. So I've got 45, and that is 5 times. So I've divided. Now I'm going to multiply. 5 times 9 is 45. When I subtract that, I get 6. I have nothing left to bring over, which tells me to bring that up to be a remainder. 25, remainder 6. If that is what you got when you worked the problem out, you did fantastic. If not, look and see if you can find where you made your error. I am going to get the board cleaned off so we can start the next one. So go ahead and get something fresh to work on. And as soon as I write the problem down, you can pause the video and begin solving. I'll just redraw that. So now you are doing 553 divided by 5. This one's going to try and trick you at the end. So try to not let it get you. 553 divided by 5. Go ahead and pause the video, and when you are ready to watch and see if you got it correct, you can press play. Okay, so the first thing you are going to do, I'm going to start explaining it box method first this time. So we're going to list my multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Okay. How many times can 5 go into 5? Let's check our multiples. Oh, look, 5. They're perfect. So that is 1 time. 1 times 5 is 5. So when I subtract 5 minus 5, I get 0. I could bring my 0 over and put it in front of the 5. It's not going to change it, so I'm not going to. But I'm going to go ahead and check off. I'm going to draw my arrow and just not carry anything because there's nothing to bring over. So now I'm ready to start again. Well, I know because I just did it. I know 5 can go into 5 1 time. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. When I subtract, I get 0. It's the same situation I was just in. So remember, I'm going to draw my arrow like I bring it over, but it doesn't do me any good to carry a 0. Now I'm ready to start all over. How many times can 5 go into 3? Well, if I look, 5's already too many. So that means 5 can go into 3 0 times. So I've divided it. I multiply. 0 times 5 is 0. When I subtract that, I get 3. But look, I have nothing left to bring down. That means, sorry, that 3 looks like an 8. It's a 3. That I need to carry my 3 up because it's my remainder. So if you get to the last digit and you can't make a group, you can't just leave it off. I couldn't have just left that off and called it 11 remainder 3 because there's a big difference in 11 and 110. Place value still matters. Now I'm going to check my answer with multiplication. So I'm going to take the whole number part of my quotient and multiply it by the divisor. 0 times 5 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus my remainder. And that gave me 553. So that is my original dividend. And that means my answer is correct. Now I'm going to come over and try it. Standard algorithm. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Okay, how many times can 5 go into 5? Well, I come over here and it's an exact multiple for 1 time. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. So I am good to bring down my 5 and start over. How many times can 5 go into 5? Well, I know it's an exact multiple, so that's 1 time. When I multiply 1 times 5, I get 5. 5 minus 5 is still 0. So now I'm going to bring down my 3. No, I've got check marks all the way across, so I'm ready to start over. How many times can 5 go into 3? Well, I come over here, 5's already too many. So that means 5 can go into 3 0 times. 0 times, so it can go in 0 times. 0 times 5 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. I have nothing left to bring down, which tells me that 3 is my remainder. If you got that correct, great job. If you got it incorrect because you left the 0 off, make sure that you always leave that 0 there, because even though 0 is not worth anything, it needs to be there for place value reasons. If you didn't get it correct and it wasn't because of the 0, see if you can figure out where you made your mistake. And we are going to do our last 3-digit divided by 1-digit problem. It is 482 divided by 7. So go ahead and pause the video, get your answer, whichever strategy you would like to use for 482 divided by 7. And then when you are ready, press play and check yourself. Okay, so I'm going to list my multiples of 7. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. Okay, how many times can 7 go into 4? Here's 7, here's my multiple of 1, that's already too much. So 7 can go into 4 0 times. 0 times 7 is 0. 4 minus 0 is still 4. And I can only bring down 1 at a time. So now I'm going to deal with 48. How close can I get to 48 without going over? 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49. That's too much. Go back to 42. And 7 times 6 equals 42. So that means 7 can go into 48 6 times without going over. 6 times 7, we know that's 42. Now I'm going to subtract them. 8 minus 2 is 6. 4 minus 4 is 0, so I don't need to put it there. I'm going to bring down my 2. I've got check marks all the way across, so I'm ready to start over. Now I want to know how many times can 7 go into 62 without going over. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. That's too much. So it can go in up to 56. 7 times 8 is 56, so it can go into 62 8 times. Now we know 8 times 7 is 56. When I subtract them, I can't do 2 minus 6, so I need to borrow. 12 minus 6 is 6. 5 minus 5 is 0. So I've subtracted. I have nothing left to bring down, which tells me that since this 6 is smaller than my divisor, it is my remainder. So when I just did 482 divided by 7, I got 68 remainder 6. I am going to try this out now. I'm going to check my answer with multiplication. 68, the whole number part, the whole amount of groups of your quotient, times 7. 8 times 7 is 56. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 5 is 47, plus my remainder of 6. I got 482. That was my original dividend. Now I'm going to try it box method. So if you did it standard algorithm and you got that, awesome. If you did it box, we're going to check it. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. How many times can 7 go into 4? Well, I know 7 times 1 is too much, so it can go in 0 times. 0 times 7 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. Now I'm going to bring my 4 over, and now I have 48. How close can I get to 48 without going over? 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49. 49 is too much. I have to go back to 42, and that is 7 times 6. Now we know 6 times 7 is 42. When I subtract those, 8 minus 2 is 6, 4 minus 4 is 0. So I have a 6 to bring over. I've got check marks all the way across, so I'm ready to start again. Now I'm looking how many times can 7 go into 62 without going over. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. That's too much. I have to go back to 56. I know 7 times 8 is 56. And even if I didn't remember 7 times 8 in my head, I've got my list of multiples here so I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 8th multiple. 7 times 8 is 56. I've divided and multiplied. Now I'm going to subtract. And I get 6. I have nothing left. I don't have anywhere left to take it over. So that means I need to bring it up. And that is my remainder, 68 remainder 6, which I've already checked with multiplication right here.